Perhaps you are not in love with a person, but with your own wound. This is not romance, it is a tragedy of cycles. You meet someone and feel as if you've known them forever. Your emotions surge with a strange familiarity. But when the relationship fractures, you realize they made you feel precisely what you once endured as a child: coldness, abandonment, control, or even abuse. Was it a mistake of the heart? Or is it something deeper, your soul unconsciously reenacting a wound that has never been healed? Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." So the question isn't, why do I keep loving the wrong person? It is, why do I keep unconsciously choosing them again and again? You see, we think love is freedom, but more often than not, we are drawn to those who mirror a pattern deeply embedded in the psyche, sometimes the shape of a parent, sometimes a forgotten memory. Unfelt emotions remain alive within us, quietly forming what might be called an emotional compass, leading us not toward healing, but toward repetition. We are not seeking punishment, but completion. This is neither wrong nor shameful. It is a sacred mechanism of the psyche's desire to heal itself. But without awareness, we stay trapped in the loop. Love, pain, departure, longing. Jung called this the shadow, the part of us we refuse to face projected onto others. The one you love is not a stranger. They are a mirror reflecting the forsaken part of your own being. So if you've been asking yourself, why do I keep falling into toxic relationships? Why does love always leave me feeling starved? And why can't I walk away even when my mind knows I should? Then this video is an invitation not to blame, but to understand. Not to escape the pain, but to witness it and transform it. Because as Jung reminded us again and again, pain is not the end. Pain is the doorway. And the one who wounds you may be the very one guiding you home, to the place where the healing must begin. In the next part, we will descend into the layers of the unconscious, where shadows, archetypes, and the forces of anima and animus quietly shape who we love, how we choose, and why we replay the chapters we thought had ended. There is a strange kind of magnetism in love, one that ordinary language fails to explain. You meet someone, and your heart rings with a familiar chime. They don't have to say much, just a glance, a fleeting look, and you feel as though you've known them in another life. And yet, as the relationship unfolds, you begin to see something uncanny. They make you feel exactly like the one who once hurt you most. This is no coincidence. This is not a matter of personal taste. This is your unconscious speaking. Carl Jung called it the power of the unconscious shadow, the parts of us that we have disowned. As children, we experienced our first wounds: abandonment, judgment, control, neglect. And instead of being healed, these wounds were cast into the darkness of our psyche. From that hidden place, they began choosing our lovers for us. We are drawn to those who resemble our wounds, not to suffer, but because the unhealed part of the soul is trying to recreate the experience, hoping that this time it might end differently. Imagine your soul as a circle that was never closed. Your childhood wound is where that circle broke. You grow up believing you've moved on, but when love arrives, you unconsciously seek someone who can walk that broken path with you, not to be happy right away, but to finish something that was never given an ending. It is painful, and it is sacred. This process is known as repetition for healing. But why would the mind want to repeat what once shattered it? Because the human psyche, Jung tells us, doesn't run on logic alone. It runs on symbols and images. Each searing memory becomes an archetype, a living template in the unconscious. These archetypes do not rest. They move like unfinished scripts. And you become the actor returning to the stage to finish the role you never completed. Maybe it's the role of the abandoned child. Maybe it's the lover who's never chosen. Maybe it's the one who sacrifices to be loved. You don't realize this consciously, but your heart remembers. You're drawn to those who make you feel as you once did. They touch the wordless memories, and you love them not because they're perfect, but because they awaken an unwritten chapter in you. This is not your fault. This is not about poor taste or low standards. This is the unconscious sending you a message: return to where the wound began, not to collapse, but to face it and rise. Jung believed no wound is without meaning. Every pain carries within it the seed of transformation. But only when you can see it, name it, and understand it, can you finally break the cycle. So how do you recognize this? Ask yourself, does the person you love make you feel like your childhood self? Is your current relationship triggering fears you thought you'd outgrown? Are you still seeking validation from someone else because you never received it as a child? If the answer is yes, then perhaps you are already walking the very path your soul chose for healing. And you are not alone. There are millions right here in this community who walk this same path. People who've asked, why do I always love the wrong person? Or why does love make me feel small and anxious? If you're one of them, I invite you to leave a comment below. Share a small piece of your story, not to relive the pain, but to feel seen. Because it's only through sharing that we realize our wounds are also bridges. They connect us to others who carry the same ache. Write it out. I once loved someone who felt like this wound. And you will see you're not alone. This is where healing begins, not with perfection, but with truth. In the next part, we'll explore the phenomenon of shadow projection, how the unhealed parts of us get projected onto others, especially the ones we love. Jung believed that love is the very mirror where we most clearly see our shadow. And if you have the courage to look, it can become your light. Keep watching, because the deepest part of you is waiting to be named. Have you ever felt an unreasonable anger toward the one you love, or a kind of pain that seemed to have no clear cause? Maybe you've seen them as selfish, distant, cold, or impossible to control. And in response, you feel small, lost, consumed by jealousy or anxiety. But what if what you're feeling isn't entirely about them? What if it's coming from you, from a part of you that you've never dared to face? Carl Jung called this phenomenon projection, the unconscious act of casting the parts of ourselves we cannot accept onto others, especially those closest to us, especially those we love. You're not in love with them as they are. You're in love with the psychological image you've unconsciously projected onto them. We project our shadow onto the people closest to us because it's the only way we can come into contact with it, speak to it, wrestle with it, but not directly, because the shadow is too hard to accept, too unlike who we believe we are, too frightening, too shameful, too painful. You may think of yourself as selfless and empathetic and feel furious when your partner acts selfishly. But perhaps deep inside is a part of you that once longed to be selfish, to be chosen to take up space, but never felt allowed to. And your partner becomes the mirror reflecting back the part of you that has been denied. You believe you are strong, but when you're with someone fragile or broken, you feel anxious, empty, disappointed. You leave hurt not realizing you've just encountered the softness you buried long ago in childhood. The shadow is not just evil. The shadow is anything you refuse to see in yourself. Some project their fear of abandonment onto their partner, controlling them in the name of love. Some project their own shame onto their partner and live in constant anxiety, feeling unworthy. Some project a dream of the perfect mother onto a lover and are crushed when that ideal is never fulfilled. Love then rarely begins with truth. It begins with a dream, a shadow, a piece of the unconscious. And awakening only begins when that image collapses. Jung once said, the meeting with oneself is at first the meeting with the shadow. It is a painful and shattering experience. It is the opening of a door you have kept closed your whole life. Love doesn't break you. Love reveals the part of you that was never seen, and sometimes that revelation is terrifying. But within that fear lies the chance to become whole. The key is to ask a simple question. What part of me is this person reflecting? When you feel overwhelmed by anger, hurt, or attachment, pause. Breathe deeply, and instead of asking, why are they like this, ask, who have I been that this touches me so deeply? Love is not the place to find your other half. Love is the mirror of the unconscious. It's not here to perfect you. It's here to strip away every mask, every layer, every emotional wall until you come face to face with the most raw, untamed living part of your being. And there your true life begins. If you're in a relationship that brings pain, don't run away just yet. Don't rush to end it. Don't cling either. See it as a soul map where each intense emotion is a compass pointing you back to where the wound first began. Share in the comments, I realize I've projected this part of myself onto someone else. Write it down to begin the journey of naming your shadow and see that you are not alone. Many are projecting just like you. There is no shame in this. What matters is that you are waking up. We create this community not because we've already healed, but because we are brave enough to enter the dark together. And once you begin to see your shadow, you'll no longer need to fall in love with your wound. Because when you embrace the darkness within, you stop needing someone else to carry it for you. In the next part, we'll dive into the powerful archetypes Jung called anima and animus, the inner masculine in a woman's soul, and the inner feminine in a man's. These deep forces shape our deepest attractions and our deepest heartbreaks, especially when we fall in love with someone who seems like destiny and end up broken by our own ideal. If you've ever loved someone like they were fate and hurt, like it was the end of the world, the next part is for you. Keep watching, because light is never found on the mountaintop, but in the shadow you've been afraid to enter. Have you ever loved someone who felt like they walked right out of a dream? Not just familiar, but magnetic. Irresistibly so, as if they weren't of this world, but rather a long-lost part of you misplaced across lifetimes. And so you gave yourself to them fully until you lost sight of yourself. And yet in a cruel paradox, they also became the one who plunged you into your deepest pain. Carl Jung offers a profound explanation for this mystery, the archetypes of anima and animus. In every man's psyche lives an unconscious image of the feminine, this is the anima. In every woman's psyche lives an unconscious image of the masculine, this is the animus. These are not images shaped by society, but by the collective unconscious woven from impressions of mother and father, ancient myths, cultural memory, and ancestral echoes. Anima and animus are the soul's opposite polarity, the part you long for, but have never fully integrated. And when you meet someone who accidentally resembles that inner image, you are pulled toward them with the full gravity of the soul, like a forgotten piece calling itself home. But here lies the paradox: you are not in love with who they truly are. You are in love with the symbol your soul has cast upon them. You are in love with a part of yourself reflected outward. And this is where suffering begins. Because no one can live forever under the weight of your soul's projection. You begin to expect them to always understand, to always be present, to always save you like a sacred dream. But when they reveal their human flaws, you feel betrayed. Not because they failed you, but because you loved a symbol, not a person. Jung called this the sacred marriage of the soul, but he warned unless you become conscious of your anima or animus, you will remain lost in illusion, idealizing, longing, and shattering again and again. And tragically, many relationships end not because two people are incompatible, but because they never truly saw each other. They live between symbol and disillusionment. To move beyond this, you must take the most sacred journey of all, to reclaim your anima or animus from the outside world and bring it home within. Understand the one you love does not exist to complete you. They exist to illuminate the parts of yourself you have yet to know. Anima, the feminine in men, is intuition, emotion, mystery, creativity, shadow sensitivity. Animus, the masculine in women, is clarity, strength, resistance, logic, purpose, action. If a man is not at peace with his anima, he will be drawn to women who feel magical and elusive. If a woman is estranged from her animus, she will be drawn to men who are strong but emotionally cold. And she will not understand why she keeps falling again and again. But you can stop the cycle by turning inward, by nurturing the soul's opposite energy within you. When a man integrates his anima, he no longer needs a woman to feel whole. When a woman harmonizes with her animus, she no longer needs a man to give her direction. Then love becomes not a search but a meeting. Not you are my other half, but I am whole within myself and I choose to walk beside you. So ask yourself, are you falling in love with your anima or animus? Share in the comments, I thought they were my destiny, but maybe I was loving a part of my soul I hadn't yet understood. Share so you know you're not crazy, not wrong. We are here to look into the soul, both its light and its shadow. No judgment, no pressure, only awareness, compassion, and truth. This community exists not because we've already transformed, but because we are courageous enough to walk the path together. And when you begin to see the anima or animus within you, no longer need to fall for their shadow outside. Because when you embrace your own soul's polarity, you no longer need someone else to carry it for you. In the next part, we'll go deeper still into individuation, the sacred process of becoming whole, where every wound projection and lost soul image leads to one destination, the fullest, most integrated version of yourself. If you've ever felt love broke me open so I could see myself more clearly, then the next step is yours to take. Stay with us, because this journey isn't just about love, it's about you. There comes a strange moment in the spiritual journey when you realize that every relationship, every wound, every person you've ever loved did not come to complete you. They came to return you to yourself. Carl Jung called this process individuation. It's not about becoming special, it's about becoming whole. It begins the moment you stop trying to be loved by someone else's standards and start listening to the quiet voice of your soul, the voice you buried beneath masks and societal expectations. When you're drawn to someone who resembles your wound, it is not a mistake. It is the unconscious calling you into individuation, because in that magnetic pull, you are made to see the parts of yourself that have been cut off. You cannot become whole without knowing pain. No one enters individuation without walking through the heartbreak of love. Because love, as Jung said, is the initiator of the most profound transformation in the human soul. We don't learn love from perfection. We learn love and we grow through brokenness, through dependency, through shattered dreams and desperate nights. And then somewhere in the middle of it all, we begin to awaken. We begin to see they didn't come to make us happy. They came to make us real. They peeled away the layers. They forced us to look at what we tried to forget. They made us face ourselves sometimes by walking away. Individuation does not happen in silent meditation. It happens in the 2 a.m. breakdown, in the jealousy you can't control, in the moment you say enough. The people you love, especially the ones who hurt you, are the unconscious guides leading you back to yourself. Look back at those you loved most deeply, the one who made you feel small, the one who made you tremble with rage, the one who made you feel not good enough, not worthy, like you had to prove your worth. They weren't just lovers. They were living symbols of the parts of you that needed to be faced. And each time you look at them with a deeper awareness, you take one more step on the path of individuation. Jung wrote, "We do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Love does not heal you, but the self-awareness you gain through love, that is what can heal. You begin to see, you once waited to be rescued, now you learn to rescue yourself. You once begged for presence, now you learn to sit with absence. You once clung to roles, now you return to simply being, needing no label at all. And when you've walked far enough along the path of individuation, you no longer seek love to fill you. You seek love to share you. No longer I need you to feel loved, but I am whole and I choose to love you as a gift, not a fix. Share with the community who was the person that made me see myself most clearly. Just a single line. No need for details. You'll find that behind the pain is a version of you, rising. And those who once hurt you, they may have been the ones who helped you be reborn. This is not a space for victimhood. This is a space for truth, for reflection, for rising together. No one here is broken. We are the brave ones willing to walk through the dark and return with the light in our hands. In the final part, we will explore this sacred truth. Freedom begins not when you are saved by someone else, but when you face the wound and no longer fear it. You'll learn how to heal from within without waiting for someone else to fix you. Stay, because this journey is no longer about them. It's about you, and your soul is calling you home. One day you will wake up and realize no one out there can truly heal you. No lover can love you in the precise way your heart once dreamed. No partner is safe enough to silence the storms of your anxiety. No soulmate can live up to the image you've crafted in your imagination. And instead of despairing, you begin to turn inward. Carl Jung once said salvation does not come from another, but from the courage to face oneself. It is a truth both simple and brutal. We are raised in a world that teaches love will cure everything, that when you find the right one, all your wounds will magically disappear. But what no one told you is, wounds don't vanish because someone loves you. Wounds heal only when you face them, fully honestly. And that is a journey no one can walk for you. No one can love you right if you have never learned to love yourself truthfully. Loving yourself is not wearing nice clothes, booking vacations, or meditating for 15 minutes each morning. Loving yourself is having the courage to say, I was hurt. Stopping the cycle of blaming others for the pain you've never faced. Realizing that you, not anyone else, have been repeating the wound through the people you choose, the way you love, the way you sacrifice. Loving yourself is no longer needing someone to fix you, but asking, what do I need that I've never given to myself? You once needed a mother who understood you. Now you learn to listen to your own emotions. You once needed a father who protected you. Now you learn to set boundaries. You once needed someone to stay. Now you learn to never abandon yourself, even in loneliness. Every time you feel the urge to text an ex, it's not because you love them. It's because you miss a part of yourself you lost in that relationship. And every time the loneliness becomes unbearable, it's your body whispering, Come back to me. Stop searching outside. Jung called this the confrontation with the unconscious. Not through intellect, not by analyzing what kind of person they are, but by touching the part of you that has never known love. Imagine there is a child within you, abandoned, forgotten, locked away since childhood. Every time you love the wrong person, that child cries out. Every time you're left again, it screams, and you run to someone else for comfort, forgetting that you are the only one who can truly hold that child. And this is where the real healing begins. Healing doesn't come from letting them go. Healing comes from understanding why you chose them in the first place. You chose them not because they were perfect, but because they felt like your wound. They mirrored something familiar. But now you can stop, not to run away, but to finally face what you once feared most. The darkness within you loses its power the moment you dare to name it. Share with the community. What part of myself have I been running from through love? Write it down, not for judgment, but for truth, not to complain, but to be free. This is a space where you can be honest, deep, slow. No one here needs to pretend to be strong. We are here to learn together how to love ourselves again, especially in the places that once hurt the most. In the next and final part, we'll answer the most important question of all. How do I enter new love without repeating the past? How do I love not from my wounds, but from my awareness? If you've ever feared falling for the wrong person again, the next chapter is for you. Stay, because you're not just learning how to heal, you're learning how to love as a soul already whole. With me through the shadow, through projection, through the sacred images of anima and animus, through heartbreak and into individuation, there is one final truth I want you to remember. You were never wrong for loving. You were never weak for breaking over someone. And you were certainly never foolish for choosing a person who mirrored the deepest wounds in your heart. You were simply human, living a soul journey no one ever taught you how to understand. Love isn't always about the right person at the right time. More often, it is the right wound at the right moment, meant to wake you from the long sleep of the unconscious. Jung once wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. Enlightenment doesn't come from imagining figures of light, but from making the darkness conscious. And now you've gone deep enough to begin seeing perhaps every choice you made, every person you were drawn to, every heartbreak you endured was never meaningless. They were maps, they were symbols, they were the language of your soul inviting you back home to yourself. So from this moment on, forgive yourself, not because you were wrong, but because it's time to stop living as someone trying to patch their wounds through another person. Step into love again if it comes with awareness. No longer seeking a missing half, but offering the fullness of who you are. No longer asking who are they, but asking who am I when I stand before love. And if you're still alone right now, know this: loneliness is not a void. It is sacred space where your own voice becomes the clearest. You don't need to rush. You don't need to chase, because real love arrives the moment you stop using it to fill an old emptiness inside. Share with this community, I'm learning to love not from my wounds, but from my awareness. Write it down as a quiet vow to yourself, and so others on the same path will know they're not alone. If this video touched something deep within you, hit subscribe, not just to watch more videos, but to help build a space where every soul can be seen, understood, and healed from the inside out. Share this video if you know someone who's hurting in love. It may be the doorway that brings them home to themselves. Thank you for walking with me to this final moment. But know this is not the end, it's the beginning of your awakening.